What's going on, my people? All right, so my name is Derek Sage. I'm a language teacher. I teach English and Spanish. Currently studying French because I want to grow the languages that I can speak. I want to be able to communicate in other languages aside from English and Spanish. But if you know anything about me, you already know the story about I learned Spanish as an adult, and I started studying when I was about 20 years old. And I've already gone into how I've gone about it. I've written a book. It's called How I Learned Spanish by Derek Sage. And I've got podcasts like this one that explain how I learned Spanish. So I'm not going to get too much into how I learned Spanish. The purpose of this episode and those that follow, is going to mainly be for the purpose of motivating those looking to learn Spanish. In general, I encourage any language. If you want to learn any language, it doesn't have to be Spanish. It could be Mandarin Chinese. It doesn't matter to me. But if you live in America, I strongly advocate and I strongly encourage learning Spanish because of the way that our country is developing, where Spanish is becoming more and more of a dominant language here. I'm very passionate on what I do. I'm very passionate in this whole subject. I'm passionate about learning another language, and I'm very passionate about my teaching. So you're gonna get a lot of that. It's not gonna all be what's the word I'm looking for. You'll hear the passion in my voice, especially when I get upset with certain things, or when I become excited with certain things. You'll hear the life in my voice, especially as it pertains to this particular topic, learning another language. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to like the video and subscribe. Go ahead and like and subscribe for me. That encourages me to put out more content, and it ups the algorithm so that others rather can tune in and take some of this information as well. So today, what I really want to talk about is simple encouragement. This is one of those quote unquote nice, positive videos, and they won't all be nice, though they will all be positive. They won't all be nice. But in this video, I just want to encourage you all to go ahead and learn a second language. If you speak English, go ahead and learn Spanish if you don't already know Spanish. You need to go ahead and learn it. All right. This language thing is deep. It's very deep. On the surface, it's deep because in terms of learning Spanish, you have to understand, as I said before, this country is developing to where Spanish is becoming more and more of a dominant language. So you need to learn it. You need to learn it because there are many that seek opportunities to work different positions in the workforce where they are denied, not because they don't qualify, not because, they don't have the skill set, but because they don't speak Spanish. This is growing. This fact is growing. I saw it. That's what encouraged me to learn Spanish. I saw it the moment I turned 17 years old and I graduated high school. I was trying to get a job. I was fresh out of high school. I didn't have any work experience, but I was trying to find work. And many of the jobs that I was turned down from, I was turned down because I didn't speak any Spanish at the time. This was when I was 17 years old. I didn't start studying Spanish until I turned 20, as I've told you this before. So I learned this, and then the real reason why I buckled down and decided to start studying the language was because at the age of 20, I wanted more for myself. And at that time, I was working a job. I was at a Walgreens grocery store, and I wanted more. I really wanted more. I had been at that Walgreens for over a year, and I needed something else. But I was in the same boat in terms of not speaking Spanish, so feeling the limitation where I was and what I was able to do, right? So that's when I started buckling down and actually studying the language instead of just getting upset and complaining that they won't hire me because I don't speak Spanish. And that's really all it takes. Really, all it takes is to make that decision Be decided. Be decided that you're going to learn another language. I think the masses of people who I'm speaking to in this particular episode, they're happy with just talking about it. They say to themselves, "Oh, I would like to know Spanish," and that's as far as it goes. But there's something in them that doesn't allow them to say, you know what, I'm going to do more than just desire to want to know Spanish. They're stuck in that fantasy mode, but they won't move forward. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't use a cop out. Oh, well, that person knows because they're gifted. Don't make excuses for yourself. There are plenty of people, there are many people like myself and others who have learned another language as an adult. So don't make excuses for yourself. One of the biggest things I learned as I was learning Spanish is how I learned. The more I studied Spanish, the more I got to learn my learning style. And your learning style might be different from my learning style. It might be different from the learning style of the person next to you. It's up to you to find what your learning style is. Once you know what your learning style is, then you can learn accordingly. You can learn the language according to how you best learn. This is important. This is important because there's a lot of information out there that will help you learn Spanish, that will help you learn any language. A whole lot of information out there. And if you already know your learning style, you know what learning information to stay away from. You know what language, basically there's junk information and there's valuable information, but you got to know the difference between the two and you got to know what's best for you. All right. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to get up, take the first step toward learning a new language. What is that for you? Is that downloading Duolingo? If so, go ahead. If you're going to do it that route, all I ask is that you're consistent. A lot of people downplay Duolingo because they say that it doesn't help them, but I have students to this day who tell me that they love Duolingo. Not all, but I have enough. I have enough students who have told me that how much they love Duolingo, and these students are consistent with Duolingo. You got to be consistent. That's the key. I'll go into that later on, but consistency is definitely a key to this journey of being bilingual or learning another language. All right. So if it's not so much Duolingo for you, then maybe it's YouTube. Maybe there are YouTube videos that you have found. Maybe there's certain channels you have found that you feel help you. And again, in that regard, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. As you learn another language, be consistent in whatever method you find that works for you. As you are learning, please, 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 please take notes. Take notes. Literally go to the store, buy a composition book, and get a pen or pencil and take notes. That's what's going to really help you. If you're taking notes, if you're writing down constantly what you're learning, right? Write down, because when you write it down, you have a better chance of memorizing it. You're able to come back to something that you've done and you can go over it, you can review it, you can study your own notes. So definitely take notes as you are in this game and as you're learning Spanish or you're trying to develop another language under your belt. So that's important. That is very important. Um, we are in America, and I know it's easy to develop a mindset because it's a scapegoat, and I don't like scapegoats. But as I do these, I gotta pull the scapegoats from under us. It's easy to say, well, the best way to learn the language is for me to leave and go to another country. That may be true, but you're not in another country. You need to use the resources that you have right now to your disposal. And let me tell you something. I started studying Spanish when I was 20. I was fluent by 22. Okay. I didn't leave the country until I was 26. What was I? I left in 2019. How old was I in 2019? 2019. I think I was 27. I'm sorry. In 2019, I was 27. Wait, 2020, 2020, we're in 2022. I just turned 29. So Yeah, 27. I was 27. 27 when I finally left the country to live in South America. All right. But I had already used the resources at my disposal to learn Spanish long before then. Okay. So take away that as an excuse. Don't say, oh, I can't leave the country, so I'm not gonna learn. Like that's stupid. I'm gonna be real with you. The way the universe works, the way that the universe works is that if you start with what you have, you will be blessed with more to use. Okay. If you start with what you have and are consistent, you will be blessed with more to use. I am a prime example of this. But as it pertains to this language, and as it pertains to learning another language, if you feel that it would benefit you if you were able to travel to another country, but you can't travel to another country, use what other tools you have until you can travel to another country. If you use whatever other tools that you have and are consistent, I guarantee you the opportunity to travel will present itself. I guarantee it. So don't use that as an excuse to not move, to not do. Okay. So I want to leave you with that. And I hope I left you with something that you will be able to use and apply. That's it. That's all.